Hey, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So good to see y'all. Welcome back to our Thrive series. If you have been hanging out with us for these past 2.5 weeks, we have been going live and really diving into topics around authentic leadership, diving into really what it means to create a culture of learning and development inside of your organization. And so, if you are new here, I thought, Alicia, we might do some introductions today because we usually just kind of skip over. So, I'm going to let you
How we
kick
do?
off. I'm gonna let you kick things off.
Sure. So, hey, y'all. I am Alicia Reese. I am a transformation coach, international speaker, and also a host. I help executives and emerging leaders. I help them clarify and also intentionally create lives that feel as good as they look, leveraging and utilizing strategy. What about you, Brittany?
Love it. So glad that you're here. So glad that I get to do this with you, and we're glad that y'all are here. So, my name is Brittany Cole, and as the cliche goes, but I think it's such a powerful one. People often don't leave companies; who they really leave are their leaders, and so because of that, I founded in 2019 an organization called Career Thrivers because I believe not only is every moment a moment for continuous improvement, but when we're operating in our career, it's an opportunity for us to boldly thrive and not just barely survive. So at Career Thrivers, we partner with corporations to help them to retain, develop, and advance women and professionals of color. And we do that through creating a culture of coaching. So we have a phenomenal team of coaches that we work with, and then building out enterprise level learning and development solutions that help professionals like you thrive in an authentic way. So that's me. That's what we get to do at Career Thrivers. And we're glad that y'all are here to have some conversation around this whole like shift from summer Fridays into fall Fridays. And so, Alicia, I'm going to let you kick us off.
Sure. So for me, my favorite season of the year is fall because things tend to slow down a little bit. The summer can be a little hectic because you're trying to vacation, you're trying to take care of all the folks who you are responsible for. So it can be a little hectic. So you need those Fridays. However, for me in the fall, because things tend to slow down, and what I mean by that is, yes, the work, because you are running up against deadlines, so you may have more work, but usually your external requirements can seem like it's slowing down a bit, even with the kids going back to school and everything else. So for those who have children, that's a whole blessing. Time to go. So one of the things that I always like to do when I know the fall is coming and things are quote unquote slowing down, I like to get real intentional about, hey, what is it that I want to do over these next 2 months? I don't even count December. It's just a thing for me. But what are some of the things that I want to do over these next 2 months, October and November? Because there is, the days are shorter. There are things like seasonal depression that can start to kick in. The holidays are coming. That can be a challenging time. I like to identify, okay, what are the things that I absolutely need to get done? And then what are the things that I want to do that are strictly about fun? So many people kind of relegate fun to specific times in their life. And for me, I like to make sure that not only am I, allowing the enjoyment to still permeate into the fall months, but also that I'm super intentional so that I can finish the year out really, really strong. That for me is how I make sure that I'm still productive. So, like today, I'm gonna work until my summer Friday or my fall Friday is I work until 3, maybe 3:30, and then I'll go and grab something really tasty to eat because I'm a foodie and I love to eat. So it kind of encourages me to hurry up and get things done so that I can hurry up and get that good tasty food. And then I try my best not to schedule meetings on Friday. So that's a productivity hack that I use, especially for the fall, because the days are shorter. Again, that seasonal depression for those who do struggle with it, especially if you're up north, can start to kind of like kick in a bit. So for me, it's just being super intentional about, okay, what does this time look like for me?
Yeah, that's such a great tip. And just let us know in the comments, even if you're watching this back on the replay, just put a one in the comments if your organization has summer Fridays. And so I don't want to take for granted that we are all speaking the same language. So summer Fridays for some organizations, not all, and oftentimes you see this more so with um, even within an organization, you can have an experience where you don't know what summer Fridays is. And that was me when I worked at Pfizer. So I spent the first like 9 years of my career in sales, probably the first 6 years or so before I transitioned into marketing. And I had no idea what summer Fridays was because I worked out in the field, and Fridays was just like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like there was no difference in how we showed up and what we did because we were field based colleagues. And then once I transitioned into marketing and I worked at our headquarters in the office, I learned about summer Fridays. And I'm like, hold
You were
on.
like, what is this?
I'm like, wait, what's going on? What y'all mean? We are done scheduling meetings, no meetings after one. Like where are y'all going? And why are y'all not coming in? Like it was a whole thing. So I just want to acknowledge that you could be one at an organization that has summer Fridays and you don't know it, or two have no similarly kind of no connection to what that means. So at some organizations during the summer months, particularly I think more so, Alicia, and I don't know if you've experienced this too, but more so with organizations who have headquarters up north. So the thought
Mm-hmm.
is like take advantage of the summertime, like the weather, all
Mm-hmm.
the things. You try to
Yep.
wrap up work by like 1. So you have like the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon off, or at least you have the afternoon with no meetings on Fridays. So many corporations model that kind of approach. And I think post pandemic, or like on being on this side of the pandemic, a hybrid workplace, coming back into work, come back into the office rather. Um, this kind of concept of summer Fridays or hybrid Fridays is becoming more expansive across industries. Has that been something that you've seen with companies being more flexible about Fridays?
So I have, especially in the hybrid type of workplace, only because it's like there's an incentive, at least in my mind, there's an incentive. So let me hurry up and get these things done because it's still the work still has to get done. Like that's still a thing. The work still absolutely has to get done. So for me, it's all right. Let me make sure it's still done in excellence. But I know I want this good time off because whether it's okay, you flying out for the weekend because you too are basking in some enjoyment, whatever that looks like. I think there is some really great value that leaders can utilize as incentives to be like, hey, we understand you trying to go, us too. What does it look like to make sure that we're getting things done that we need to get done so that we can all enjoy ourselves, because life can't just be about work. It just can't. So what would you say has been some of your like top tier productivity hacks, especially during the fall months? So we know like it can be a little bit more challenging, especially for some folks with dealing with your days being shorter, you technically not having as much time, especially if you are working in emerging leader or executive level positions, because the month of December for many folks can be, you got folks maybe here, maybe not here. So, what has been some of the things that have been super helpful for you?
Yeah, I try to find ways to kind of take that summer Friday approach into the fall. So, and I want to acknowledge, that both of us that are sharing with you today are, entrepreneurs, we're owners of our companies, we're leaders of teams where we're doing the hiring and we're making those business and operational decisions. And so I say that just to acknowledge that like everyone might not be in that space. So to kind of speak from the lens of maybe someone who is working inside of a corporate organization or inside at an employer, I think one thing to consider in terms of just how you're managing your own calendar is, even if I am working until 5, which today is a good example. There's no fall Friday for me today. Like I have meetings and work scheduled actually to like 6. And here in Nashville, it is Tennessee State University's homecoming, which if you are not familiar with HBCU or historically Black college university culture, um, how would I explain this? an HBCU's homecoming in a town, particularly one like Nashville, like I'm from here, can be similar to like your own homecoming at your alma mater, even though you didn't go to the school, but you feel just as much like pride and excitement about going, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
best way I can say it to like hit a broad audience of like what it's like. And I'll give you some stats for Nashville. So for TSU's homecoming, 250,000 people fly into Nashville for TSU's homecoming. So that might
What?
help to like paint the picture of like how big of a deal it is, and not just
Mhm.
again not just alumni, but people who are have maybe have friends or family that went to TSU, or people that might be from Nashville, or people that are like, I went to another historical black college university and TSU has an incredible homecoming weekend, and so we're coming in town. So anyway, that's happening today, and there was a whole agenda of things that started actually 24 minutes ago at 11 a.m. So I'm like, you know what? I wish I could hang out with y'all. I wish I could come and do those things, but like duty calls, and I'm moving, today until 6.
I
But for
can't.
me, I think you have to create that balance of where like even if you can't have a quote unquote summer Friday, knowing where the give and take lies. So I'll share another quick example.
Mhm.
So, like me as an entrepreneur, Saturday mornings in my mind are work mornings, and they give me an opportunity to get ahead, really. So, like in my mind, like when I
Okay.
wake up on Saturday mornings, I'll wake up with the mindset of, okay, let me Brittany get 3 to 4 hours in, even if it's 2 hours, like get a couple of hours
Mhm.
in the morning while you're still on this like routine, your body's in this cadence of getting up at this time, get it done, less
Yeah.
distractions, and then you have your weekend. Then there's no Sunday scaries over here where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Sunday at 7 o'clock and I gotta get ready for Monday. It's like I'm taking that time on Saturday to do it while I'm already in the rhythm coming off of Friday. And so I'm not doing that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm hopping on a plane and I'm going to Miami and I'm
Mhm.
hanging out with the weekend. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have my Saturday time. So
Are you
it's
off? Taking a
the
break.
full. So that's my productivity hack this week. It's like get it all done today so that you can actually enjoy the fullness of the weekend. But I would just say, be mindful, but also give yourself that grace depending on what you need week to week in order to create better synergy between the life you want to live and the work you choose to do.
Yes, and I love that it's the choosing, because again, so many people don't understand that no matter where you're working at, or what level your position is, you still get to choose what your experience will be. And being very, very intentional about that choice is how you're able to create a life, in my belief, or it's at least how you begin to create a life that feels as good as it looks. It really and truly is all about intention. It's all about intention. And the more intentional you are with how you're moving, how you're making decisions, where and who you're showing up as, that is that intentional creation of, hey, this is what I want my life to look like. This is what I want my life to feel like. Because as long as you're getting the work done, when you get into an organization, learn how they play, learn how they move. Take the time to figure those things out so that you can then align what works for you with what their expectations are. Sometimes it's great and it works perfect and there's a happy path and you get to it. Sometimes not so much. It's not so much of a happy path. The moving around and the getting to whatever that is takes a little bit more time. Either way, there is great value in simply just being intentional about, how do I learn? What do I need? How do I need to show up for me? I know, like I said, for the fall, it's one of my favorite times because things slow down. Fall might not be a slow down time for you. So if you know it's not a slow down time for you, okay, what do you need to put in place to help ensure that you have what you need, because it isn't slow down for you. It may be ramp up for you. Either way, just get intentional about what that looks like.
Yeah, and I can remember, especially at a time when I was leading a sales team in Nashville with Pfizer, and I can vividly remember like Q4 was stressful because, and many, if you're a people leader on, you could probably relate to this because you had all of these things kind of cascading. You had like the end of the year, depending on when your organization's fiscal year is. A lot of corporations, it is December. So you had the end of the year for you in terms of like goals, your team, but then you also had year end reviews that you had to get in. And then if you were doing any kind of, and most people do fast start or,
Mhm.
gathering for the year, you're also planning that, coupled
Yep.
in with the holiday time, which is, in a lot of
A lot
leaders' mind,
to
it's like time off the calendar. So it
mhm,
impedes productivity automatically because you have less time to
mhm,
almost get more done. And so, one tip for leaders to think about and to consider, and I would say really to anyone, is to take the approach of at the top of your day, or really at the end of your day, is what I like to do with the little post-it note that I'll leave on my laptop to identify your top three, right? So
you
if
and
you're,
those Post-it notes,
yeah, me and my post-it notes. Listen, okay.
not the color coded.
And like those are the chill ones. We got the red, the purple, we have the bright ones for the wall, like when we're doing like strategic planning and that sort of thing. Like these are the
Yeah.
ones that's like, okay, what are my top three, for Monday? But I have found that to be so helpful. And it also is helpful for, and we have to acknowledge, I believe, this state that humanity is in because of technology when it comes to our lack of ability to deeply focus. Like I think
Yes.
the biggest topics that we don't talk about enough when we are having conversations around innovation and technology, as amazing as they are, we do not have enough conversation about the impact of those innovations on our human capacity to focus on one thing, to monotask. And so I think
That's so
because
hard.
it's such a challenge, for me, the top three is one of the things that helps me to focus because even as
Mm,
I emails are coming in or texts or can you do this or hey, what about this? Slack messages. I don't squirrel as much because I know before I move to 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you're like me, you're like, Brittany, I have more than three things, and I hear you, right? Most days I have more than three things, but
yeah.
I can't move on to the other things until I get the top three done. So then it makes
Love
sense
that.
to write down the top three. It's like I'm thinking in my head, what are the top three things that have to get done that will make getting everything else done easier, right? So
Hmm.
4, 5, 6, and 7 are important, but it's like if I get 1 through 3 done, I'm going to have more ease with the rest of the list. So, but again, it also helps to keep me focused so that I'm not, oh, I got a little bit of everything done, but I contributed to a little bit of everything, but I didn't finish anything, right? So if I
That's the
finish the
biggest
top
one.
three, then I get the rest of the stuff done. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that. I love that. And for me, I have to, again, because I'm one of those, oh, type of humans. Um, so I have to, I love your top three. What I do is I have to constantly bring myself back because I will be working on my major things that I need to get done, and then I'll be like, "Ooh, but this just came in." And so what I have started to do is I will put my do not disturb on. And I don't know if you can do that on PCs. I have no clue. I apologize. I admit that that might be a little bit of a privileged statement, so I apologize in advance. I don't know if you can do that on PC, but you can do that on a Mac. So I put on my do not disturb, so I get no notifications, no emails, no calls, no text messages, no anything at all, unless it's from like my daughter. She's the only one who could break through. Her and my sister can break through the do not disturb veil, and my mom. Okay, so three people, but y'all get what I'm saying. Um, so I'll put that on, and then I'll put on like some meditative type music that doesn't necessarily have words. Because again, oh squirrel, if I hear the words, I'll start making up my own, singing to it. It's you gotta know yourself, to thine own self be true. So I'll put on some good meditative music and then I will zero in with a timer. I know it sounds extra, but I'll zero in with a timer because then I get to be free and I can, I can move around again once that timer goes off. And so for me, that's just what I found that works. But I want to hear from y'all. What are some things that you guys have found that works in getting your productivity on? Because I know, like I said, for me, it can be a challenge because the ADD be ADD and I just I just it can be a challenge.
yeah, and there are a lot of great. So PCs do have it. I just looked like I've used this. There's a button near the clock that says focus, and you can set an amount of time. So
Okay.
it works similar as Do Not Disturb, but there are also apps. So I'm blanking on the name of one, but there's one app that literally will not let you leave the screen that you're on. Like you can set it up to where you can't leave the screen that you're on for the set amount of time that you set it.
Oh
So
wow.
you can't X out, like you have to stay in the zone of
Focused.
the screens that you've identified, like these are the tabs or the screens that I'm working within.
Oh, I
Um,
need that.
it's so interesting that like, and I'm sorry, I just have to say this, like it's the over analysis part of my brain, but there are literally apps now help us focus because we can't focus because of apps. So
Listen, it's
like,
like we know we messing y'all up, so here you go. We're gonna help y'all out.
messing y'all up. So let us create
We know
another
it's
app
messed up.
to kind of help you just a little bit. But Notion is also a really great. It's an online based software for productivity, and it's AI enabled. So it'll do things like based on emails that are coming in, events or meetings that you have. It'll even block out like focus time on your calendar. So, again, there's two sides to every coin, but the beauty of the way that AI is going in its ability to like transcend across different platforms, Notion is a great example of like connecting your email to your calendar, to your tasks, and then it creates for you the
Yeah.
focus, the time blocking that you need to actually stay productive and get the work done. So there are tools out there that you all can tap into, that I tap into, that help with getting into a phase of deep focus. But yeah, I mean, I think for me overall, it's like whenever I feel myself doing that, I have to be more mindful and intentional of like getting myself back into a space of being able to deeply focus on one task, because maybe it's a little bit of like
One tap.
sitting in on too many conversations about the impact of technology, and even like we're like barely scratching the surface of what artificial intelligence is going to be able to do. But there's a
Mm.
researcher out of Columbia. I sat in one of his sessions, and he was just talking about how artificial intelligence is, but more so is going to impact the human brain. And so a lot of it, I believe, is like focusing in and like brain exercises to keep us top notch and being able
Yes.
to focus. So like in my mind, it's like great to use an app like Notion or something, but it's like sometimes I think, girl, like you should be able to do this like on your own, like
You
get
should be able to.
X out of the tabs and get this writing done or get this, content,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the thing is that I'm
Yeah.
working on. But whatever it takes to get you into
Yeah.
that state of focus so that you can be productive is what we got to do.
Yeah, and I will say for entrepreneurs and even entrepreneurs, or leaders who are maybe neurodivergent, or you have a few more challenges, what I have found that is super helpful is I have an accountability partner for the major things that I have to get done in my life. So, Brittany, you are my accountability partner when it comes to showing up, staying consistent, and doing this challenge. I literally met a woman in Vegas at the Adisa conference. I met her and we were just talking about the things that we had been procrastinating on that we needed to get done. And so, right then and there, we were just like, okay, by Friday, this is what we're going to do. And so, I texted her last night, like, hey, I did part one. Now I'm working on the sequencing. Where you at? And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. She's like, guess what? She's like, I got the landing page up. I got the email, set up. And it's a simple thing. We're not meeting every 2 weeks because everything doesn't have to, be on this super structured cadence.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need somebody to hold you accountable where it's going to be like, dang, I know I'm going to have to say, did or did I not? I don't
Yeah.
know the weak link. So
And
let
that
me
is
go ahead and
so
do it.
powerful for focus. It's like find you that person where they're going to ask you, did you get it done? And you do
I'll
not want to
call
be the
you out.
person that's like, oh girl, no, I did not. I didn't finish.
Exactly. Because it's centered around that. And this might be a bad thing, but this is how I use shame to my advantage. Because so many people will tell you, oh, you shouldn't be ashamed. Like shame is a terrible emotion. And I agree, shame should not be the crux of it. But for me, I know I'm gonna be real shame if I have to tell this lady I ain't do nothing. So I'm using shame to my advantage in that in that scenario. Because I know I do not want my good sis to be like, so you didn't do anything the whole time?
Mhm.
I don't want to have to show up to her. And for folks who you are your boss, in my experience, I know I need that. Maybe I do need to work on my discipline. I agree. But until I got it, this has been effective. It's my productivity hack.
Well, and that's why coaching is so powerful. That's one of the
Mhm.
many things I love about coaching, because so much of coaching is about accountability. Like I
Yep.
know I'm at my next coaching session when my coach is like, okay, so what are we working on between now and then? Like I know that coaching session is coming up. Sometimes it's literally the night before. It's like, oh man, 2 weeks has
Dang.
gone by. I got another coaching session. I said I was gonna get these 3 things done. I have not done anything. I got to at least go into this session with one thing done.
Just
Like let
live
me
it.
get it done right now. It kind of creates that automatic accountability. So I
Hmm.
would certainly encourage you that if you are at a place where you believe like, okay, I need focus and I need accountability, and I'm also at a crossroads where I need to make a decision, I
Hmm.
believe one of the best investments that you can make if you're in that boat is to invest in a coach. Like to
Absolutely.
find someone who is going to hold you accountable, but that can also help you to see around the corner to make that decision and to
Mhm.
stay accountable to what you need to do to thrive in that new direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the helping you see around the and to into place, because that's what I always like to tell folks. I believe, and I'm not sure if I'm out here, but I believe that you should have to maintain your mental wellness. You don't just need a therapist, but you also, because therapy uncovers while a coach helps you formulate an action plan to be able to get to where you need to be. And all right, Brittany, are you still with us? Okay,
I
all right, I
am,
see you.
yeah.
Got
Okay, perfect. I had sent you a private message too. I'm like, I think one of us, somebody's breaking up just a little bit, but yes. Well, we hope that this was helpful for you all today. Let us know in the comments here. We love coming back and seeing your thoughts, what you have to add to the conversation. But let us know, how are you staying productive? What are the hacks that you're using, the disciplines that you're creating, the tools and resources that you're finding helpful in order to be more accountable, but also to get the things done that you committed to yourself that you wanted to get done, because this year is not up.
Nope,
So I know we're getting
not
closer to
over.
the holiday, and some people are like, oh, I'll save that for 2024. Listen, a lot can happen in 2.5 months.
A
Your
lot.
career can be on a completely different trajectory. Your business can go from 6 to 7 figures. Your team can increase. Like a big client could come into your orbit. Like there is no shortage in my mind of what's possible when it comes to your not only your level of expectation, but also seizing the moment, seizing the opportunity that you have. So don't let this time slide past you. And if you are in a space and place where you feel like, hey, I've kind of slacked off, or I haven't been as productive as I would like to be, we've been there. So like you are not alone. We certainly know what that's like, and you can certainly um, get back on track. Right? It's just a decision. Take today, decide what your top 3 things are for Monday, and get back on track, because a lot can change by the end of this year.
Hmm.
Any last words for you?
No, no. I actually, yes, I said no, but then I meant yes. The primary thing is learning what you need and then actually providing that for yourself and not looking outside of yourself or requiring somebody else to give it to you. If you get super clear on what you need, especially for the seasons of your life, just like there are seasons in a year, there are seasons in our life. Get clear anytime you recognize that there's a shift in the season of what you need in this time frame. It is a game changer, I promise. I promise it's a game changer because it helps you to align with, okay, this is how I get to now leverage what season I'm in, because you always have something to leverage, even and especially if you feel you do not. So yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, y'all have an amazing Friday. If you are not connected with us on Instagram this weekend, we'll be hanging out over there. So you can follow me. It's just my name without the dot. So it's Brittany N. Cole. And Alicia, yours is your name too, Alicia Reese,
Yep,
right?
that's my
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. So connect with us on Instagram. If you're joining us on LinkedIn, make sure you head on over and follow us. Give us a follow there. And then we look forward to seeing y'all next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.